This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social. Delighted to be joined, as always, by Eddie Hearn. We're here at the Charlie Edwards-Moreno workout. How are you, Eddie?
I'm good. I would like to congratulate you. I've noticed that your views have been creeping up significantly, and I would say that you are, top 2 in the UK now. Is that right? Coog, is that right? I know obviously at the moment, you're a bit like us. At the moment, you're top dog. Probably not for long, because, like us, you'll probably evaporate soon. Who's number 2 in the UK? You haven't got to say it's Boxing Social just because we're here, but it appears to me, looking at their views, that they have become number 2.
I don't know about number 2, but I will say no, I don't know as in terms of numbers and stuff, but I will say one thing. Rob Tebbutt is the best interviewer this country has for the YouTube channels.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to this best interviewer this country has for boxing YouTube channels. You know what I mean? He's up there with Parkinson. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, but
Go on.
tell me the top 5. Don't put them in any order, because yeah, IFL, Boxing Social. Seconds out.
Well, seconds out in terms of numbers have got more subscribers and viewers.
This is a real quick question, mate. I just want 5 sites.
Seconds out.
IFL, Boxing Social, Seconds out.
Behind the gloves. Fight Hyper kind of in the market here
Yeah.
as well. So
Okay. Well done, Rob.
Thanks, Eddie.
I'll be honest. When you started working for Boxing Social, because you were with Behind the Gloves before, weren't you? I thought.
And seconds out.
Yeah, and second. Bloody hell, you've been putting it right.
I did one interview for Seconds Out.
Bloody hell. What I will say is, when you started with Boxing Social, you've interviewed me, and I thought, it's that geezer from Seconds Out, and I thought he's launched this Boxing Social. That's got absolutely zero chance, because that bloke's been with everyone. But it's good that you've actually carved out your own little thing. Are you Boxing Social?
No.
No. Okay. Who is it?
What's it got to do with you?
It's quite strange, because normally you see people. This is a serious question. People whose site it is or whose business it is are actually involved in the interview and around.
Yeah.
And this guy obviously clearly isn't. Is it British or is it Scandinavian?
What?
It's not. Boxing Social? No. Okay.
How you doing, Eddie?
Because you look a little bit Scandinavian.
Do I?
Or road. Like with your hood up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm doing my best to increase my street cred, because people keep taking advantage of me.
Where are you from though?
I'm from Bedford, Edward. Where are you from?
Is it? Bedford, yeah?
This is a very interesting start to the interviews.
Sorry, yeah, anyway, let's crack on.
How you doing, Eddie? Been a while.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Got 2 back-to-back UK shows, which is good because people think we've disappeared off the face of the earth. Obviously, we've been travelling around a lot. Milan, New York, Philadelphia, and now we go Copper Box on Saturday, and then Liverpool next Saturday. 2 really good shows. So I'm excited to be back in the UK, and we hope that they gel into great nights of boxing.
We'll come on to your kind of gallivanting across the globe later on, but let's start on this card. Charlie Edwards, we'll start from the top and work our way down. Charlie Edwards makes the first defence of his WBC World Flyweight title. Thoughts on that fight with Edwards-Moreno? Charlie looks $1 million, smile all over his face.
I think it's a good fight. I think Moreno is a very good, he's a world-class flyweight. I think it's a solid first defence. I think the styles will gel really well. I think Charlie's the kind of guy as well that this World Championship win, you may see this even in the interviews, sometimes gives you that extra level where you improve, particularly mentally and emotionally and even physically, and go on and actually start making major statements. Really, the plan is to look good and try and unify the division in 2019. The more pleasing thing is that he has become a star of British boxing. Great win in December on the Whyte Chisora card. The whole story with his family and his mum, people have taken to that. People have realised that he's a good guy. He's worked extremely hard at what he does. He deserves all his success, and I'm glad people are getting behind him. And it's great to see him headlining a World Championship fight on Sky.
I sat down with Charlie yesterday at the hotel, and one of the things he said to me, because of his kind of career really, he's been inactive, he hasn't been out as much as he'd like to have been, straight back in there after winning the title on December the 22nd. How important is it for you to give him plenty of dates? And obviously you've got your dates in America to fill. He mentioned Tevin Farmer as somebody who's been very active, looking to have no, it's a slight size differential.
That's what fighters want, and I think there's too many fighters, particularly in America, that aren't active enough. Charlie hasn't been active enough, funnily enough, because his career's been like up and down. You know, he won a British title, he fought for a world title very early in his career, lost that, then sort of had a couple of in-between fights. Then he went up to Newcastle, had a good win there. And to be honest with you, I was looking for a big opportunity for him for a long time. I wasn't sure whether it would come. The opportunity came for him to challenge for the world title, and he was brilliant. So now, as a world champion, and obviously with the whole conversation about Brits going abroad and where's the world championship fights on Sky and stuff like that, it was a good opportunity for a young world champion, now with a good positive following, to headline an event. And now he has the ability to go on, box at least 3 times this year, probably 4 times, and try and unify the division. So, you know, he's someone. Activity comes with success, you know, and with good performances. If you're not putting in good performances or you're not getting success, you're not really going to be that active, because Sky aren't going to be going, oh, we want him on, or the fans aren't going to be going, oh, we want him on. If you go and put in a performance like he did and win a world title, of course he's going to be extremely active, and that's what he'll be, particularly while he has that world title.
What can you tell us about Angel Moreno? One of the only things that I know about him is he's from Maravilla Box, who obviously brought Sergio Garcia over. Patera also, another Spanish traveller who kind of upset the apple cart. What can you tell us about Angel Moreno?
I can tell you that he has 2 defeats on his record. One was a contested or contentious decision for the European flyweight title. He's a former European flyweight champion. His other defeat is on points to Dakalem, who is the who is the WBA world flyweight champion. So he's mixed in good company. Again, when you choose an opponent, sometimes you look at their setup and their team to tell you what sort of fight you're going to get or what sort of opponent you're going to get. And when you team up with Maravilla Box, you know that they're going to be well prepared, they're going to be well schooled, and they're going to want it bad. And that's what you got with Sergio Garcia. So we hope we don't have another Sergio Garcia on Saturday, but I expect a very tough fight. They have sparred before, and Charlie said, like, our spars have been electric. So, and these guys at the smaller weights, the work rate's fantastic. Technically, they're both very good. They tend to have, say, better chins, but take more shots than obviously the big heavyweights. And I expect a really good fight.
Where can we expect to see Charlie to go after this? Obviously, the Calya fight is something that's been kind of heavily mooted for a long time. I think it's fair to say that Charlie's kind of in the upward steep, whereas Cal's last couple of performances haven't really set the world alight. I think it's fair to say.
I've started thinking about that fight. I actually like that fight. I mean, I think if Charlie can't unify, I think that's a natural fight for the summer or later in the year. You know, I think previously Yafai was like, I want the bigger fights, but that has become a big fight. Like, Charlie's gone out, he's proven his worth, he's become world champion. But I would like to see Charlie try and unify the division. At the moment, he's listed as number 1 flyweight in the world, which is fantastic. You know, if he vacates the belt or moves up and challenges Cal Yafai and loses, he's kind of not done the job at flyweight. But that is an option. Cal is supposed to have a mandatory next. He was going to fight Nietes actually, but he got injured, Cal, and he wasn't able to do that, which was a bit frustrating. But we're working on his next defence coming soon, and I don't rule out the Edwards-Yafai fight at all, actually.
Andrew Selby's in action on Saturday night, WBC final eliminator.
He's a final eliminator. He's got. I actually think he's going to win that fight. Whether he gets a decision or not in Mexico is another kettle of fish. Kettle of fish, is that right? Yeah, okay. But he's brilliant fighter, Andrew Selby, and actually he's in a final eliminator that no one even knows about, other than you. So he could become the mandatory for Charlie Edwards, which again would be a big fight.
Charlie told me that a lot depends on kind of whether or not he's given an, I don't know what the term is, exemption, or if the WBC allow him to move up to super flyweight and still keep his WBC title. I know Mauricio's going to be there on Saturday. Is that a conversation you're going to be having?
Yeah, I think they probably would. We'll see. But, you know, like, one of the problems with the lower weights is they don't get paid as much as the guys at the heavier weights. That's changing, and it has changed over the last couple of years. But still, the aim for Charlie, now he's become world champion, is to try and secure his financial future, buy a house, pay the mortgage off. That's what you've got to get out of this sport. The memories are great, and they're probably the overriding thing that every fighter will leave the sport with in their heart. But if you leave the sport having won a world title and don't have yourself a nice house and, you know, some money in the bank for retirement, you really haven't done your job, or we haven't done our job, or MTK haven't done their job, and we're all doing a great job. So we're working together to make sure that box this one off, get a good performance, bank some more money, and then go for a bigger fight, bosh, and then you keep going. And then, you know, that's the aim. I don't like always talking about money, but I'm just honest with you and say, now he's world champion, that is one of our jobs, to make sure he's rewarded.
Just final one on Cal, your fight. DAZN are going to be hosting Rungvisai Estrada 2. Great fight. If Cal is called for a mandatory and he gets out of the way, is that a fight, the winner of that for him?
Definitely. Both Estrada and Rungvisai want to fight Yafai, so I expect him to fight the winner of that fight, but he will probably deal with his mandatory first.
Lawrence Okolie looked in quite scary form today with trainer Barry Robinson. Just your thoughts on his battle with Eddie Camacho?
I don't know a lot about Barry Robinson. I like what I see, and I like him as an individual, and I like the energy that he brings to the camp. I think one of the things with Lawrence is he's so inexperienced as a fighter in general. Like, he had so few amateur bouts, but got to the Olympics and won major tournaments. And as a pro, he's had 11 fights. So he's moving that quick, but he's getting criticised if his performance isn't particularly exciting. Like, the win against Askin was really impressive, but it was a bit of a stinker. You know, the fight against Chamberlain was a bit of a stinker, but he's beating these guys quite comfortably. So I think what Barry is doing is showing him how to work on the inside rather than just locking someone up when you get there. We all know that at range, Lawrence Okolie is probably the hardest cruiserweight to beat in the world, but up close he is inexperienced, and Barry, I think, is showing him the way to fight on the inside and to keep that fluidity flowing rather than boom boom grab, okay, we're going again, boom boom grab. It's like almost like Andre Ward style. I don't think you can beat Okolie like that, by the way, but I think they understand that it's about entertainment, and he wants to entertain. He's that kind of fighter, and he can be an entertaining fighter. And it's no gimme against Waddy, because people are talking about Lebedev, people are talking about Dillian Whyte, you know, and Waddy's on a run, and he's confident, and he's there to try and cause an upset.
You mentioned Dillian Whyte, I'll come on to that now. Thoughts on that? I mean, it's been a few weeks since the kind of the call out, but Dillian's not the kind to forgive and forget.
The thing is with Dillian, I had a meeting with him yesterday. He's still talking about it. He's coming on Saturday and he's not happy. Whereas most people would just sort of, like, someone said something online, you forget about it the next day. But that's not Dillian. So everyone's just got to stay calm and get that fight out of the way. Everyone keeps asking me about the fight. I mean, it's not on the agenda. Of course it's not. So yeah, we'll see.
Just kind of a little bit of a dig, do you think, from Lawrence? I mean, I know Lawrence is managed by AJ.
Yeah. What happened? That as well. Yeah. But what happened was, in the interview with Sky, they asked Dillian about whether Riakporhe would fight Okolie, and Dillian went, "I'd like to see Riakporhe have a few more fights." Don't get me wrong, he beats him now. And then Okolie replied something on social media, and then it all went from there. So.
You love all of that, don't you?
I do, because people are talking about it. It helps raise Lawrence's profile. Everyone's talking about Dillian anyway. Why not?
Josh Buatsi contests the vacant British light heavyweight title against Liam Conroy. Talk to me about that fight.
I think Conroy's on a great run. I won't say he's out of his depth, but I just think Buatsi is sensational. I believe he's world level already. But he's got to go through those levels to show it and to learn. And this is a great step up for him. More importantly, it's for the British title, which is a great belt to win for any young fighter. And I expect a good fight. Conroy's going to be giving it absolutely everything. He's got good support coming up. Like I said, he's on a good run. I expect it to be quite explosive, because I think Buatsi makes you fight. You know, you're not going to get time to sort of get into the fight or go a few rounds. He's going to be on you, he's going to sting you, he's going to smell blood, and he's going to try and knock you out. So I do expect that fight to go early. I expect good resistance from Liam Conroy, and hopefully Josh gets through that and we can put him out on the AJ card on June 1. That would be really a nice plan.
What kind of opponent are you looking at for that? Obviously not looking past Liam Conroy this weekend. I know Sullivan Barrera has been mentioned as a potential fight for later on in the year.
Yeah, I think the Sullivan Barrera fight is a tough fight for anybody. He's the kind of guy I'd like to see Josh fight this year. There's a couple of guys in the top 15 in the world with a WBA that we're looking at as well. I want him to have that international step up, because you can't go from, all due respect to Liam Conroy, you can't go from Liam Conroy, if he was successful in beating him, to Dimitri Bivol, right? You've got to fight the Sullivan Barreras and the guys in the middle to prepare yourself for the gamble. And he will do that. He's still a rookie, you know, really, but he's an excellent fighter, Josh Buatsi. One of my favourite fighters to watch.
Fighter that he's been linked with throughout his professional career, throughout both their professional careers. Anthony Yarde mandated to face Sergei Kovalev for the WBO light heavyweight title. Thoughts?
my thoughts are what I just said, that you can't go from Travis Reese to Sergey Kovalev unless you're just an exceptional fighter. And actually, Buatsi, I believe, is one of those guys that could do that. I don't know enough about Yarde. I hope he takes it. In my opinion, I mean, judging from his comments I think it might have been Coogan's video where he said, we're the A side, that fight has to take place in the UK or the fight don't happen. You might as well just come out and do an interview and say, we're not taking that fight. So, I don't know. I know that his trainer, Tunde, has like some digs at me and stuff like that, but I quite like their energy. I mean, lions in the camp. I don't mind that, you know what I mean? I think with Tunde, I think he plays up to the fact, I don't believe that he believes in a lot of the things that he's saying. I think he's just putting it out there to be a little bit provocative, surely. But I hope Yarde takes the fight and I hope he wins. Because Buatsi Yarde then becomes an absolute... That fight is always going to be a big fight. If I was managing the career of Yarde, which is absolutely not my business at all, I would want him to fight the Sullivan Barreras, even the Jose Burtons, like anyone with a pulse before going into the likes of Kovalev. But it is a good time to get Kovalev. I mean, we saw against in Alvarez, he's not at the level of sort of shotness, if you like, that we thought he might be. So it's a very difficult fight. But I don't know, maybe Frank can deliver that fight at Arsenal. I mean, that would be an amazing opportunity for Anthony Yarde. I'm sure Arsenal would be all over Yarde against Kovalev. So, Frank, do your job and bring that fight to the UK.
One thing that I was hoping that you could clear up for me, kind of the WBO situation, you're somebody who's obviously well versed in governing bodies, etc. It's a little bit up in the air at the minute. You've got Saunders, Isufi, yet to be announced whether or not it's going to be for the WBO title because they're waiting on Gilberto Ramirez, who boxes at light heavyweight. This is where it gets confusing. I'm just trying to, boxes at light heavyweight, even though he's still the...
Let me break it down for you, the basic business of boxing. Billy Joe Saunders is going to sign with ESPN, top rank, right? So they'll say to him, we'll get you the WBO super middleweight title. Okay? So that all goes through. Gilberto Ramirez says, I'm moving up to light heavyweight, right? So they go, right, Gilberto, you're moving up to light heavyweight. Billy Joe against Tutti Frutti. You're now fighting Billy Joe for the title. Gilberto Ramirez went, whoa, hold on a minute. I haven't vacated this belt. That's where we're at the moment. So top rank will eventually get Gilberto Ramirez to vacate. Saunders against Tutti Frutti will be for the vacant title, and he'll sign with top rank, and then off we go.
What I was getting at with that really is if Gilberto Ramirez does move up to light heavyweight, as per WBO regulations, he would then usurp Yarde as a mandatory. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's too late. Really? Yep, I think that the fight's been ordered, and I think negotiations are underway. I don't think you can now turn around and say, well, actually, no, we're not going to do that now. It's going to be Gilberto Ramirez. But that might be a play from the team to make it look better when they turn the fight down.
Okay, well, moving away from this weekend, let's talk about what happened this past weekend. I'm aware you have to shoot. Tevin Farmer successfully defended his IBF super featherweight title. Very brave performance from John O'Carroll. Talk to me about that fight.
Well, it was a great night. Start to finish, our best show in the US so far. Feel like we're getting some good momentum now. I thought John O'Carroll was excellent. I thought he just didn't stop trying the whole fight. Actually had it closer than the scorecards, to be honest with you. I had Tevin Farmer winning, but only by 3 or 4 rounds, to be honest. Just finished very well. John O did great. His stock rose. Katie Taylor was sensational. Rosado against Sulecki was brilliant. Campbell put in a great performance. Good debut from Raymond Ford. Yelusinov. Yeah, it was just a really, really good night.
Talk about Luke Campbell because Mikey Garcia then boxed the next night. Still holds the WBC lightweight title. Not sure whether or not he's going to return to 135.
So I'm putting the pressure on the WBC. I'm saying, guys, I don't even want to say to Mikey, come on, Mikey's got to respect the sport and other fighters enough to say, if you're not fighting at 135, he's going to get mandated to fight Luke Campbell. If you're not going to go back to 135, just be emeritus champion. You can call the defence on any time you want, but let these guys fight for a world title. I said to Maurizio, he hasn't boxed. Mikey Garcia won the lightweight title 2 years ago. He hasn't had a mandatory defence, right? And he hasn't defended the title in over a year. So let's get the belt active. And Campbell deserves his chance, and that's what we're campaigning for.
Still in discussions with Mikey Garcia?
Not since the Errol Spence fight. Previously, yeah, he said I'm going to have the Errol Spence fight, and then we'll see what's what.
Likely signing potentially?
Don't know. Probably more likely now, having lost to Errol Spence.
Kind of leads us into a nice, the whole WBC mandating this, that, and the other. Deontay Wilder yesterday was fighting Dominic Breazeale. Thoughts?
Mandatory. I mean, I always thought he was going to fight Breazeale before he boxed Fury, and I actually believe that Breazeale wanted a fight before then. Otherwise, I think they would have fought. I like Dominic Breazeale as an individual. I mean, AJ boxed him in his 17th fight. This is Deontay Wilder's 42nd fight. AJ had glandular fever that night and didn't lose a second of the fight and knocked him out in, I think, the 7th round, sorry. Wilder could lose the fight. I mean, like, it's the heavyweights. Obviously, you know, the whole thing about Wilder now turning down 100 million to fight AJ. It's just nice that the comments now are actually people going, fucking hell, Eddie Hearn and AJ are actually trying to make this fight. I don't know what more we can tell the public. We have continuously offered this fight for a year. We're now in a stage where when they accepted 15 million for this fight and asked us to send a contract, which we did and they never replied, that offer has now been trebled. And they're not even biting. Right? So it's really, really frustrating. But we'll continue doing what we're doing. The only thing that matters right now is Joshua against Miller, June the 1 MSG, May 18 Wilder Breazeale, June the 15th Fury against someone. Let them all fight, and then we go again, and we try again. And like the money that was offered, that's not me offering that money because it was the wrong money. It was DAZN, and it was a mediator saying, "Let me do this," because you two, like, you got to listen to Shelley's comments. When Wilder beats Joshua, the Matchroom Empire will crumble. Like, what gives a fuck about the Matchroom Empire? Just make the fight. And isn't that exciting? Like, if you want to ruin me, do it. Go on. Dare ya. Like, that's what I'm thinking because I want the excitement. And I know Joshua's going to knock him clean out. So we want that fight. But I don't think the PBC can afford to lose the World Heavyweight Champion or lose him, more importantly, from their platform. That is not the job of an advisor. That is the job of a promoter. So what is Al Heyman? Is he his promoter or is he his advisor? So that's the question. And at the moment, it looks like Deontay Wilder's decisions are being made by Al Heyman and Shelley rather than by Deontay Wilder. My boss is Anthony Joshua. You know, this Eddie Hearn, Milkshot. I don't have a say, mate. If Joshua wants it, it's happening. And he wants it. So even if I didn't want the fight, which I'm telling you now on my kid's life, I want this fight more than anything because I know he's going to win. But even if I didn't, I can't stop Josh from taking it. He's the boss. That's how we work, you know?
From the outside looking in, I'm sure everybody wants the fight, but I think it's fair to say everyone wants it on their terms. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but we've got to a stage where those terms have been really agreed and approved. Like, you can't, you know, Joshua, there are terms from DAZN that Joshua is happy to accept. There are terms from DAZN that Wilder has to accept. Like, how can you not accept that deal? You accepted 15 million 6 months ago. Now you've been offered treble and you're still turning it down. So, I don't know, it's really frustrating. But let's get this bunch of fights out of the way. And then we go again. We have the number one fighter in the heavyweight division. So we're in a great spot, but we want to prove it. And that's the frustrating thing for us and for fight fans. And people like Shelley and Al, I've got to say, we've got a job to do for fight fans and for our client to provide this fight. So let's do it.
I spoke to Shelley about a week ago for about...
Did he fall asleep in your interview?
No, he didn't actually. He stayed away this time. Thanks very much for bringing that up again. And he said to me unequivocally that they wanted to stay with Showtime because they have a moral agreement, not a contractual agreement. And then the next day I saw the stuff about him meeting with John Skipper to discuss a multi-fight deal and felt very silly. Yeah. But now it's transpired that he's not taking that deal. Can you understand the loyalty there? Yeah, from kind of what I watched your interview with Coogan, where you spoke about kind of wanting to essentially monopolise boxing is the word, or wanting to run boxing is essentially what you were getting at. No,
I want to have the best stable in the world. I want to be the biggest promoter in the world. And I want to put on the best shows.
Sure. If you take Wilder,
let me tell you something now. I think Al Heyman probably kicks himself every morning when he goes, "Why did I let them fight Charles Martin?" Right? Because they gave us the keys to the kingdom. And if they give us the next keys to the kingdom, which is Deontay Wilder, and Anthony Joshua knocks out Deontay Wilder, it's game over. And he don't want that to happen. But that's sad. That's really sad. Because do you fancy your man to win or not? Because I do. Fuck the kingdom. Fuck the empire. I don't give a monkey's, mate. Listen, the money's great and we're comfortable. Like, I don't care if I never made another penny out of boxing. So be it. But I want the fight. I want to win. I want to see your face, Winkle. I want to see your face, Al Heyman. And I want to see the victory. I want to enjoy the moment, the ecstatic moment where this young man, who we started working with from his pro debut, becomes undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. After that, kill me. I'm done. Stick a fork in me. I will sit in the office with a la-di-da and a pina colada and go, mate, I had the undisputed world heavyweight champion. And that's what I care about. So all this other stuff, like, oh, we don't want to get him or he go, just see who's the best. Don't worry about the kingdoms or who's got who. Just let it play out. Let it happen. Do it twice. Yeah. If you lose the first one, you get another crack anyway. But they're so afraid to lose that guy. I don't. If we lost AJ, if he got beat, he gets beat. That's sport. That's boxing. That's life. I'm not afraid of that. They're afraid of that. They're afraid that Wilder gets beat. That is it. And I don't even think it's Wilder. I just think Wilder gets told what to do. So it's very frustrating. But like I said, we go again. We get together with the zone, we put some more offers together, we think on our feet, and we try again. That's all we can do.
What I was getting at with that is I think, from my humble opinion, that you've already got the middleweight scene locked off. Yeah. If you then have the heavyweight scene locked off, yourself and the zone are then untouchable. Would that be fair to say?
Yes. Don't you think that's sad? But you're hitting the nail on the head. It shouldn't be about that. Why are you stopping a fight from happening because you're afraid of us getting control over another division? That's bullshit. That's everything wrong with boxing. You know, people talk about the cancer in the sport. That is the cancer in the sport. And people call people cancer in the sport. I would never do that because I think it's a horrible thing to say. But that is the cancer in the sport, is people stopping fights from happening to stop people from what they think is manoeuvring through control and power of a division in a sport. That's what's going to kill boxing. Make the fight. Do you believe Wilder can beat Joshua? If you ask that question to Shelley or to Al, they will both say yes. Whether they believe it or not, they will both say yes. So do it, prove it. And if we lost, our position in boxing would be much weaker not having a champion. And if we won, our position would be much stronger. Forget about us. Worry about Anthony Joshua. Worry about Deontay Wilder. But if that's what you're worried about, if you win, yes, I will be in a much weaker position. So well done, congratulations. That will make you really happy. I don't give a fuck. I'll be gutted, not because we've lost the world heavyweight champion, but AJ's lost. He's my man. That's all I care about. But I don't believe he's going to lose. So I want to make the fight because I know he's going to win. And if he don't win, we have a night we'll never forget. The fans have a fight they'll never forget. It's the biggest fight in world boxing. Don't worry about control over a division.
That's business though, isn't it?
Yeah, but Rob, the business is doing the right deal for your client. Business is not worrying about your personal position in the marketplace. So what you're saying is that Al Heyman is more concerned about his control over a division and with networks. He's a fucking advisor. Networks, control over divisions, that's for promoters. But so I say, what are you, a manager or a promoter? Because if you're a manager, if you're an advisor, you make the right moves to your fighter and you make the right decisions, financial decisions, and you manoeuvre him to the top of the tree. The undisputed championship. If he beats Joshua, he's the biggest star in the sport. Can he do it? Let's find out. If he beats Joshua, he's the biggest star in world boxing. Want to gamble? You want to roll the dice? Because I do. You know? That's what it's about. So, we will see.
The goalposts are where they are, though. That's how they feel. That's how a lot of promoters feel about working with networks and strengthening and weakening the competition. So here, potentially, yeah, I agree with that. With that being said, Shelley told me that they'd be open to one-fight deals. Are you not interested in offering a one-fight deal?
Yeah, that's fine. It was only because he's fighting Brazil next. That fight wasn't done for a platform, so we said we'll give you much more money than anyone else will for that fight, and then we'll give you. We'll go back with the 2 fights or 1 fight, whatever they want. Should be 2 fights, by the way. But if they want a one-off, we'll do that anyway. But really, It's an opportunity for both of them to have 2 undisputed fights for a lot of money. But we will go back and we will say, right, okay, in November, December, we will give you this deal to fight AJ. Right? So...
From Wilder's point of view, I mean, him staying with Showtime kind of leaves the doors open for him to do what he wants. The offers are only going to get bigger, right?
Or he could get beat. But I do agree with you. I do think he's just turned down an offer. We're not going to go back with 35 million. So yeah, you're right. But at what point, does another mandatory kick in, or you can't take the fight, and people get a bit bored, and he looks shit against Brazil, or AJ gets wobbled, and the fight, So what I'm saying is, right now, that's why I'm saying he accepted the fight 6 months ago for 15 million. He asked for a contract. We sent it to him. We never heard back. That's been trebled, not doubled, trebled. Right, and there is more. What the offers that have been put on the table is more money than is in the fight. That's why I'm not offering it. I wouldn't offer him 40 million for this fight. DAZN are doing it. So, and they want to provide the best fights for fight fans in America. So they will continue to try and find a way to make this happen.
Okay, well, I think I've held you for long enough. Final question. This man down here, Kugan Cassius, was on the Boxing Social podcast, episode 3. You fancy coming on at some stage soon?
Is he having a slash?
He's down there.
No, him. Look. Mate. Halamalatala. You can't go toilet there, mate. Who's like that? Yeah, sorry. I will come on the podcast, yeah. How do I do it?
You have to come into our office.
Oh, fucking hell. Is that in Bedford?
It's in Old Street.
Is it?
It's in the roads of Shoreditch. Is it?
Okay, yeah. Can we not do it remotely?
If you want.
I'm going to launch a podcast. Do you think that'll do well?
The issue with you doing it is that, well, it's not that, because I mean I host a podcast anyway. So
all I'm going to talk about is me. Do really well. Yeah, I'll come on for sure. See you at the presser tomorrow. Yeah?
It's on camera.
Yeah, well, I don't have a problem with that.
All right. Well, Eddie Hearn, thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social. I'll catch you tomorrow at the press conference.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.